So here's a good question, and I often find myself sitting back and thinking about what I have learned from my children. What would you say you've learned from your children in regards to gaming? I know for me, a lot of it is lingo. Like some lingo will pop up. I'm like, what does that even mean? What's Keck W? And then one of the kids come in real quick with it. Do you have any instances of that?
I think I think the best thing about like just like my 5-year-old is just a natural born comedian, and so he says stuff sometimes, and he just comes out with things like like he goes, "Oh baby, yeah." I'm like, where do you get that from? I've never said that ever in my life. And he's, "I've got you now, Dad. I'm coming up on the inside. Yeah, eat my dust." I'm like, "You're 5. You shouldn't know these words." And I mean, it's just generally for me, it's just remembering that being a kid and enjoying something purely for itself is one of the most important parts of gaming. Is for me, it's like being a game changer when you come out, when you do all the feedback, that's fine. But I remember the first time it was in EA Play London when they still did London. And I got my hands on Battlefield 1 for the first time. And I was just sat there absolutely grinning. I had the biggest smile on my face because it was just tremendous fun. And it was like blasting around. The visuals were spectacular. Everything you wanted to do was there. And there's a mild profanity coming up, so you'll have to forgive me. It won't be bad, but there is a mild profanity. Mind your profanity. So basically, I tweeted out, "I'm sorry, it's hard to tweet with a massive throbbing erection." That was my reaction to Battlefield 1, because for me it was just this. It just infused itself into me. I was like, "This is what I wanted. It's spectacular. It's fun. Things are blowing up. Thank God, they got it right." Apart from the gunplay, but it was just fun, and that's what playing with my kids, playing Mario Kart. When they beat me, I'm gutted beyond belief. But it's just listening to the delight they have when they beat me, or the delight they have when they hit me with a shell. Anything, and it's the delight of it. It's not gaming to be a famous Twitch streamer. It's not gaming to make YouTube content. It's gaming for gaming, just to have fun. And that is for me, the one thing I would take away. And it sounds trite and very saccharine, but it is one of the things I definitely take away from gaming with my children, is just remember it is a game and it's there for fun, not obsession.
Another week, another podcast, and this one I'm excited about. I'm very excited about because, we already have the answer to today's topic: life, the universe, and everything. And it's 42. But we have an amazing guest today, SgtDangerCow.
Hello.
And he's going to be breaking down the quantum physics of why it's 42. So you guys just stay in and get. No, I'm just messing with you. Today we're just going to be talking about various things, and we do have SgtDangerCow here, our guest. He is an EA game changer. He is a content creator and an amazing pilot, a father, a husband, just to name a few of his accolades. How are you doing, SgtDangerCow?
I am, all things considered, pandemic, etc., doing very well. Thank you very much. I hope you're all well and that you're well yourself, Deadeye. So, how are you doing? I mean, this whole pandemic thing, how's it going for you?
I was lucky from the beginning to be labeled as essential. Both me and my wife. My kids took it a little harder. The two in college, they got laid off from their jobs during the pandemic, but we did good. Nobody has gotten sick. We've been doing really well. A lot of people have had it worse, so I can't complain. How about you? Have you guys weathered it pretty well?
Yeah, I think the hardest thing for us, because we're in the hospitality business, so we have holiday lets, and we struggle quite badly in terms of, like, we've taken about a 60% hit on our earnings. We've had a couple of long-term earnings, long-term lets, sorry, over the winter, which have helped a lot. But yeah, like most people in that kind of world, it's been pretty crappy, to be honest. But aside from that, health-wise, I've had it. My wife's had it. I've come out the other side of it now, and I don't have pretty much any symptoms now. I don't have any shortness of breath. I don't have any phantosmia. I don't have any of that nonsense. So I think I'm pretty much through it. So.
Now, did you lose your sense of taste and smell when you got it? I heard that happens to a lot of people.
Yeah, but weirdly, I had it that happened about day 4 of my symptoms. It wasn't like one of the early symptoms, and I knew I had it because I felt kind of like I had the flu, which is one of the other, you feel a bit kind of like low, your muscles are a bit achy, you feel a bit kind of like, and then like by day 2, the headache was the worst thing by far, and then by day 2 or 3, I started this thing called what's it called? Cutaneous hyperesthesia, when your skin becomes really, really super sensitive, and that was incredibly painful. Just to like put any kind of top on my body was really bad. So I just spent most of my isolation in the bath, because then I wasn't touching anything.
Almost like a sunburn, huh?
Oh yeah, and then some. It's like having someone drive an ice pick into every single pore of your body. It was unbelievably excruciating. And then the taste and smell thing is weird. It's very disconcerting, because you don't taste anything, you don't smell it. So you walk into a room and it doesn't smell like a room, or you're eating food and it just basically tastes like water, but with a bit of texture to it. It's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing.
It's something you take for granted, is the taste and smell. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. So we're gonna get into some questions first, but first, I met Danger. The first time I met you was at EA Play down in Hollywood, and instantly that was during an event to give some feedback, and I was thoroughly impressed. You were very thorough, taking notes, and I remember one of the things that we that we pushed to get implemented during that event was the compasses. Before there weren't any compasses in Battlefield on the mini maps, and as competitive players and people that use the teamwork highly, the compasses were the thing. So if anybody not familiar with Sergeant Danger, he contributes a lot in the EA Game Changer program, and a lot of the things that you may see in game is a result of his feedback. But before we get into it, we're going to show a little clip here. Anybody who's played Battlefield 5 and has experienced a struggle of calling in a V1 rocket, you're going to appreciate this video. So we're going to roll this video right here. Sergeant DangerCow.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, yeah. We're in the pension plan. We're in the pension plan ages and things. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I love that. That danger, that was a good one. That was a good one. Um, so getting into it myself, we are on the latter side when it comes to the gamer age. We are, we are, I like to say experienced, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, now, as somebody, when I first put my hand on a controller, I knew that that was going to be something I was going to be into for a long time. It was original Atari back in the day, and I've played just about every system since. And when I was a kid and I was playing video games was, for back lack of a better term, what the losers did, what the people that couldn't play sports and things like that, did. It wasn't um as widely as accepted as it is now. It was something that the slackers did, was play video games. And now, as a father, my kids have been raised up that the video games were out when they were born. They've had video games since day one, and it's a different culture. How do you find yourself adjusting to that? Because just like anything, just whether it's hunting or fishing or any other hobby that somebody might have, if it is abused, it can become something negative. But now video gaming doesn't have the negative stigmata that it did when me and you were growing up. How do you balance that and handle that with your kids?
Um, it's funny, my kids are a lot more mobile oriented at the moment. They have a Switch, and they love playing games on there. What I find interesting now is that two things will happen. Either I'll play the game and I won't have a clue what's going on. I'll be completely inept at it. Or you'll have that wonderful moment, as any parent will have with a kid who games, when they come looking up at you all bright eyed and said, "Dad, can you help me with this bit? I can't get through. I've been stuck on it for ages." And you just kind of swan in there, sit down and go, "Right, kid, give me that controller." Beep, blah, bloop, and you're done. And they just look at you like you're a god. And it's just so wonderful to be able to say to them, "Hey, or just have you thought about maybe looking in that pot there, or have you tried breaking that bit of the wall?" Because how games work, and you're just passing on those years of experience down to them. And in terms of actually them gaming, it's as a 45-year-old, like you said, we grew up when games weren't as accessible immediately as they are now. They're not in your hand all the time on your phone or on whatever. So I think we're growing up in a very different world to them. And so to try and say, back in my day, it was not like this, and you're doing it all wrong, and you should be outside more. It's like, yeah, okay, get them outside, of course, get them running around. Exercise is really, really important. But if this is something they want to do, don't stamp it out. It's the same with anything. It's like, why would gaming have less credence than anything else? Like you say, hunting and fishing. So you got to come out and learn how to hunt. Why would that take preference over playing a game? It's like it's a hobby. You want to do it. And okay, if in a survival situation, being able to beat Mario level 3 is not going to get you very far.
Right.
But at the same time, passion is passion, and I don't think you should knock that out of any children at all.
Well, and I think me and you also, or I know I probably do unconsciously look through that through a narrow lens, because I mean, I obviously don't, hamper my kids' video game playing, and there would be no way that I could, because they would be like, "What are you talking about, Dad? You went to Sweden because you play video game,
Yeah,
and things like that. There's some other struggles on the other side of that, when that you can put that out there. Now let me ask you this: how old are your kids?
So my eldest is 14. My second is very like a smidge away from 13, and then it's 10 and 5.
Now, does your 14-year-old, does he play any of the more competitive oriented games like Battlefield and things like that you play?
It's a she. Sorry, I should have said that. It's girl, 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 boy in age order. Gotcha. And so no, not yet. I'm not sure that my girls are massively interested in Battlefield. They're more sort of like anime based games or Mario games or Splatoon, stuff like that, which is a little bit more or should I say less gory and less visceral than Battlefield. But my youngest daughter, my second eldest daughter is desperate to play Sea of Thieves with me. In fact, she's just she's been saving up her money because she's an actress and she gets jobs, and when she gets jobs, obviously she gets paid, and she's saved up a fair chunk of cash, and she wants to buy a gaming. So she said laptop. Of course, I shuddered and said, no child of mine will be using a laptop to game. You
got to get a rig. Whoa,
exactly. Let's check this thing out. So anyway, so she's desperate to play Sea of Thieves with me, which would be wonderful. Although I'm not so keen on her hearing her dad curse out other players, for killing me or whatever. So we'll see.
Definitely some hurdles to navigate when you decide to play with your kids as opposed to playing with your crew. Well, so what I run into is my oldest is 21, my middle one is 19, my youngest is 15. And you were talking about, they get stuck on something and you come in there and bam, bam, you knock it out. Well, and I've run into what I run into with my boys, because they are all pretty competitive. They played a lot of the same shooters that I have. And what they'll do is when I jump onto a different game, the game that I was playing previously, like for example, my middle one, Rainbow Six Siege, that is his jam. He loves that game. Me and him played a ton of it together. And, being a gamer, I was always slightly better than him. And so when I would play something else, he would get real good at it, over there, and be like, all right, Dad, let's go one-on-one. I'd still win, just because, the experience. But we have reached a time now, once he hit about 17, 18, I'm overwhelmed with pride that he is as sweaty as he is. But at the same time, I am scared to death to go one-on-one with him, because there's a good chance he hadn't beat Dad yet. Last time we played, it was a tie, and it's by design that we haven't played again just yet.
I've got to be honest, right? So I play my kids at Mario Kart quite a lot because it's fun, it's easy. We just have a few rounds or whatever. My daughter beats me every freaking time, and it has gotten to the point where I have, to my shame, I have gone and quietly hidden myself away and looked up YouTube tips on how to improve my performance, because she's kicking my ass. And I'm saying, you must know some secret I don't know, because there's no way
you're taking.
They know it inside out, and I am just sat there like quietly on the loo or something, just going, let's go, tips for faster, and it's like, God Almighty. So yeah, it's one of those things. It's like everything, though. I think there's a mantle to be passed, and like you say, you can be proud of how sweaty they are. Like my dad and me, our thing was, he got me into video games, and he very much did not like when I beat him. Like we used to play Quake and stuff, and one-on-one, and he hated it when I beat him. Absolutely hated it. But we used to play squash. That was our main thing. And ever since I was about 7. I was playing squash together. And then one day, I think I was about 16, and I had been to school. I'd had a few lessons at school because I'd never had lessons. So I was just kind of hitting a ball back and forth. I'd had a few lessons at school, and suddenly he was struggling. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. And then, then I said to him next time we came down, I said, Dad, do you fancy a game of squash? No, my knee's playing up a bit, actually, boy. Yeah, I'm not sure. oh, hang on a minute. So, and then of course, the next time we played, I was 18. So I was at that point, 6'1", built quite well because I was playing rugby all the time. I absolutely fucking smashed him. Excuse my language, but I absolutely smashed him. And he was not happy. He was like he was going, you can't hit the ball there. It's a let. And I'm saying, it's not though, is it? Because you're behind me and I'm dropping the ball. There's no way it's a let. Anyway, so it's just wonderful though. When you get to that point and you are being beaten, you go, you've got to say fair play. You can't be angry about it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, you got to. Yeah. Means you did a good job. Means you did a good job. So before we get any further into this, tell us a little bit about how you became a game changer. What got you into Battlefield. What kind of set you on the path to where you're at now, as far as the Battlefield series.
Okay, so I very lightly touched on Battlefield in 42. I mean, as in Battlefield 42, not as in the year 1942. I'm not quite that old. But my roots are actually in COD. I started playing with Call of Duty. That was when I was kind of really getting into first player shooters. And what happened was Call of Duty went from having private servers. Here we go. This is a contentious issue, of course. Went from private servers to non-private servers to only public servers. And it absolutely wrecked our community. Our community just basically imploded. We said, well, we can't host anything. We can't kick people. We can't. And so we tried, but it just failed. And so I was kind of like bumbling around at that point. And it was when, just when Bad Company 2 was being released. And I'd seen some trailers for it. And I went to the community and said, hey guys, so you maybe looked at this? And they were like, no, it's not for us. So I went, okay, I'm out. So I left COD. I left COD completely at that point and became full-time Battlefield. And so Bad Company 2, and then, Battlefield 3, and then 4. And 4 was when I had started doing my charity giveaways, like my graphics card giveaways and stuff like that. And I was just sat there, I just want to do something good with what I have. And I won't go into all of that, but I want to be able to do some good with and give back to the community that I've gained so much from. And that's when Bad Company 2 is when I found BSM, which is why I've got BSM SgtDangerCow as British Sergeant's Mess. And they're a community of guys, and they were all in Bad Company 2. They moved to Battlefield 3, and then when Battlefield 4 came out, the problems with it just kind of caused all sorts of issues. But I stuck with Battlefield because I kind of really liked the big spaces. I liked the fact that the no game was the same, that it wasn't like this kind of jump around, bounce around stuff. It was like you had a little bit of thought into it. And I liked all of that. So I stuck with it. And then I guess I don't really know why, but I don't know if you ever got told why you're a game changer or anything like this. But I was approached by I can't remember who. I think that's what it was. It was Dice Friends Tags, and I'd kind of got to know Westy a little bit, and I said, I was watching him play, and he was just getting absolutely slaughtered because everyone just wanted his Dice Friends Tags, and I said, thank God that I don't have Dice Friends Tags, and Jeff Braddock just said to me, I was laughing on my chair when you posted that because we were literally in the process of giving you Dice Friends Tags. And I was like, oh, that's very sweet. And then like a year later, I came out to LA off my own bat and, paid to come out and see what was what with EA Play and Dan Mitri of, the very much missed Dan Mitri and yes, Jeff were there. And we were goofing around. And then the next year they said, why don't you come out, as a game changer, but like not the top tier game changer. There's several tiers of it, and and then the year after that, it was come be a proper one. That was Adam and Part Welsh and Just Big Lee, kind of dropped that one on me. And I asked Lee, I said, why have you got an old git like me, who's not, I'm not a big YouTuber, I'm not, and they said, basically, 'cause you're old. It's like you're not 20, you know, and you've got a bit of sort of life behind you. It's like, oh, okay, well, you know, at least it's not my opinions then. But I don't know. I just think for me, Battlefield has always been a community, and I know, you know, there's toxic elements of it. Of course, there are, as there are with any community. I just find it a hell of a lot less toxic than others. So I stuck with it, and I've enjoyed it.
I agree. I think Battlefield has an amazing community, and that was a big reason why I was strictly Battlefield for such a long time. Is the community. Community was absolutely fabulous, and the interactions, and like you, I started on COD and then jumped over to that, over to Battlefield, and was just hooked from then on out. What would you say, you've been to several events, you've given a lot of feedback. What have you seen implemented in any of the Battlefield games that you were that you had a hand in, that because I've seen you're very thorough, you take notes, you really, and like you said, your age, but I believe that the reason they brought you in due to your age is because, with experience, you get a little more thorough. You can give feedback without being negative about it. And every time I've seen you at an event, you're very thorough with what you present to them. So it makes it easy for them to digest. What's one of the things that you've seen come into the game that you may not necessarily have directly, got in the game, but that you worked on or you had feedback on?
I think mainly it's just, for me, it's about the flow of the game. So it's hard to put a thumbtack in it and say that was me. The only thing I kind of lay claim to it, but I'm suspicious that it was in the works anyway. Was when Hardline came out and I started playing that, I said it would be really good for the cars to be able to do like J turns and handbrake turns, and it wasn't in the game when it initially launched. I don't think it was anyway. But I said it would be really good if that was possible. And that then went into the game. So I don't know if that was me or not, but I like to think it was. But in terms of the actual game itself, I think it's just about finding like the balance of the gameplay for me was the main thing. So I'd say like, can we maybe push D flag slightly further up or further down the battlefield, or things like that. Or I'm not sure that having... One of my big things was, as you talked about pilots, I really felt that vehicles were being slightly left out of the thought process, particularly when it came to Battlefield 5. Mm-hmm. And when you go from Battlefield 1, where the vehicles weren't ever quite right, and the planes were okay, but they didn't have any throttle control. It was a bit too basic. So the skill gap element was there only because you knew how to turn faster, or in terms of, your maneuvers, you could maneuver faster or maneuver, out of a problem. And I think that's where I tried to concentrate, was mainly on the piloting side of things. So when Battlefield 5 came out and the planes were pretty rubbish, to be honest, I was like quite vehement about they need to be looked at. And I've always been... with tanks, I've always been about like the tank snipers, the guys who stay about a millimeter outside of their own base on a hill, and then just because they can do that. Yeah. And so when Battlefield 5 came out and the turret rotation the turret rotation speed was quite delayed. And I thought that was quite good because it meant it wasn't like a primary weapon where it would just go and you'd be able to shoot. Mm-hmm. I thought it was useful to have a delay. So you had some sort of chance of getting around. And then they just said, no, we're going to put it back to how it was in Battlefield 4. And then everyone just started tank sniping. And I kind of like, I wish they hadn't done that. But then a lot of the people playing tanks were like, well, it's boring. I was like, well, how is it, how is it boring? How is it not boring just sat on the hill when you're taking a tank and you sit on the hill and you're on a hill and your team needs you to push a flag, but anyway.
Well, and I digress. I can't agree more. That's, Battlefield Bad Company 2 was where I come in as well. I didn't really touch 42. I think I went back and messed with it after the fact, but Battlefield Bad Company 2 was when I come in, and one of the things that I loved and enjoyed most about the game and got me hooked was the need for your team and for the other players. And being in the Game Changer program and submitting feedback and seeing feedback from the community, you get a lot of pushback where people want their class to what their role on the battlefield to be the best. And so they're always trying to push for their stuff to be the best, to where they don't have to rely necessarily. You've got way less people saying, hey, I want to have to rely on my engineer, I want to have to rely on my air support, I want to have to rely on my infantry. You get way more people saying, no, I want the turret to be faster, I want reloads to be quicker, I want to be able to jump out and repair my tank or repair it from the inside. And so it is a tough tug of war.
It certainly is. And I think one of the things a Battlefield definitely faces is the streamability of it. Because Battlefield isn't, like a lot of the reasons that these games like Fortnite and Warzone and that have taken off is because they're very short, sharp shock things. So you might be playing for 25 minutes, but there's a character, there's like a story arc to it. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. Mm-hmm. But with Battlefield, it's like there isn't really a beginning. Certainly from an individual perspective, there isn't a beginning. The beginning is you've got no flags, and in the end you might have lost the game. But it's very hard to get a sense of the general flow of things. So that for me has always been a thing of like Battlefield need to find ways of making it more streamable. Sorry. Yeah. And I don't know what the answer is to that, other than for it to be fun and engaging and for people to have fun doing it. But at the same time, you've got to balance that with the gameplay being somewhat fair.
Well, and what I've seen kind of disappointing, I'm just going to hit on this just for a second because it is disappointing to me is what I've noticed a lot. I pay attention to a lot of streamers, and I still watch some Battlefield streamers, and there's some really good ones out there that are really positive, but it seems like the biggest ones are the most toxic ones, the ones that not only are just toxic about what's going on, but it's almost like they hate the game while they're playing it, but that draws a crowd, them hating the game that they're playing draws a crowd. And that's not just with Battlefield. I've seen that on several other titles, and that, when it's going back to a game being streamable. If the game itself has good content and you're able to stream it and it's entertaining, then you don't have to fall back to that, to being negative or toxic about it for it to entertain. And I think that's what happens, when you have a game that is difficult to stream.
I mean, it's going to be interesting when you get to the point of having potentially 64 players aside, which is what the big gas about Battlefield 6 is there's going to be a lot more players on the battlefield. That was the sort of exact words out there, wasn't there? So I mean, it's very difficult, I think, to get any sense of the individual's effect on the game as a whole in terms of when you're playing it. And so when you give feedback, you tend to give feedback and stuff from your own point of view as well, don't you? If you're into tanks, you'll give it from a tank perspective. And it's a question, I think, of when you have people who hate on the game and driving their viewership up. I'm sort of, I get that it's I can't believe it. And one of the big guys, Dr. Disrespect, used to do that all the time. He said, God damn, this game's so rubbish, and God, sort your crap out from whoever game he was playing with. And you go, well, there's a certain attitude of superiority that the big streamers seem to need to have in order to attract the followers. But for me, if you're being toxic, which it kind of is, then what is the community you're going to be attracting around yourself? And that, I don't want that. If I ever become a big streamer, I certainly don't want to be a toxic one. I want to be somewhere where people can come in and have fun, and it may not get me 1 million views, but at least I'll know that people are genuine, right?
Right. When I stream, I'm the same way. I do it for the conversation and for the people and to just kind of hang out and enjoy my time playing with like-minded people. We're going to switch gears a little bit. And again, this is playing on both mine and your age. So the Battlefield community, by and large, in my opinion, and it's just the interactions that I've had, just the nature of the game, the way it works, it attracts, I don't want to say an older audience, but the community that's in Battlefield for the most part, from what you see, is older. Not, Call of Duty has a lot of squeakers, as they call them, and things like that. And Battlefield, you do run in from time to time, but in my opinion, it's less, or in my experience, it has been less. And since I've been playing a variety of games, I've been exposed to gamers of all ages and with all manner of attitude. You play Sea of Thieves, and that being a cross platform as well, and geared toward not necessarily geared toward, but I guess it is, with its the cartooniness of the graphics, geared toward a younger audience. How do you find your interactions with players that have a large age gap between yourself and them?
Honestly speaking, the funny thing about playing video games is if you can't hear them, you don't know how old they are, right?
True.
You don't know their gender, you don't know their age, you don't know anything, their race, you don't know anything about them other than what you see, those words you see on the screen, right? So you tend to get a feeling of whether someone is young or not by the way they speak, or the way they type, or do they use a lot of text speak? Do they use a lot of curse words and whatever? No, it's that sort of thing where you go, okay, you might be a bit on the young side. But ultimately, my interactions with players tend to be, I try to silence them with humor. So if someone says, "Oh, you must be hacking," I'll say, "Yeah, I'm hacking like I've got the crown jewels underneath my bum," or something stupid. But it's just people, and then what happens is you get the people in the server on your side because they realize that you're just above all this rubbish. And you're not going to turn the server into a place where people don't want to watch what's going on the chat. So this morning I was playing Battlefield 1, I was flying around and I was shooting this guy. And, I don't want to be disparaging, but he wasn't a very good pilot. And clearly I've had quite a lot of experience as a pilot. I'm not a brilliant pilot, but I can shoot planes down with mediocre pilots in them. And he kept calling me a hacker. He kept asking the server admin to kick me out, all sorts of nonsense. And he was saying, "You've got an aimbot," and I would say, "You've got a wonky eye," or your left nostril's bigger than your right nostril. Stupid stuff.
Yeah.
And people were just laughing because they're going, clearly, I'm not going to respond in kind, but they get it that, in terms of my interactions with people, I would say it's actually about 50-50. Like the squeakers tend to be, like in Sea of Thieves, a lot of the squeakers I find are actually quite reasonable, especially if they're new. They're quite grateful if you treat them nicely. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes you just want to murder kill, right? But a lot of the times you'll go up and say, "Look, I'm about to log off. I've got a whole bunch of resources. Just take them and I'll crash my ship so you can have my ensign flag as well," or whatever. And they're quite, "Oh my God, thanks so much. That's amazing." I tend to find in Sea of Thieves, the ones who are more, they give you a bit of attitude, are the slightly older ones. And for some reason, they always tend to be the French players. I don't know why it is. It's always the French players. It's like I've hardly had an American or someone who isn't French come up and say, "Oh, you're really bad" or anything. But it's so funny. Maybe it's because I'm playing in a French area server that it's just survivor bias. But it's I find that a lot of the time, because it is anonymous, which is of course the great danger of these things, that it emboldens people to be, or at least to show a truer side of themselves perhaps than they would otherwise. And I do get frustrated sometimes when people just keep saying, "Oh, you're hacking, you're hacking, you're hacking, you're hacking." It's like, it does wear you down a little bit. But ultimately you go, "Look, you're just some dude. I know the truth. What I don't want is for someone else to start going, 'Yeah, he must be hacking. Look at his score.' Or 'I know he's hacking,'" which is of course a very dangerous statement, because you don't, for a start. And secondly, I know I'm not. But what I don't want is to get any kind of a reputation in the community. So the great thing about being a DICE friend is you can just say, "Have a look at my dog tags," and tell me, do you think I would have those if I was a hacker?
Yeah.
And that tends to just shut them up, because they go, okay, yeah. But yeah, I just, a lot of the time I think you can't, I don't know if I can tell the difference all the time. If someone has a go at me, I just think the general thing is just use humor and deflect it and just go, yeah, whatever, mate.
Well, I'm pretty similar. Every now and again, I'll jump in. The dad in me kicks in, and I try to talk some reason and things like that into them. Before we get into the next one, chat, if you've got any questions for SgtDangerCow, go ahead and post them here in chat. The moderators are going to be grabbing those. They're going to be sending them over to me, and we'll ask Danger about them. I've actually got a story about a young kid, and this was in Battlefield though. His gamer tag was Marine, and this was back when I ran a competitive team. I was the leader of TWD. And we had brought him in. He was real young. And whenever I've run a team or a community, I almost never put an age gap on it. Obviously, I put in, a warning. You might hear me talk like this or talk like that, what have you. But I like to keep it open to as many as I can. And I'll never forget this dude. His name was Marine, and he joined the team, and he was very, very young, but he listened like nobody's business. He did exactly what was asked of him every time we got in a match. He ended up I ran TWD for about 6 years. He was in it the whole time. When he started, when he was 12, when he was 14, he became one of our main squad leaders and went into competitive matches with us. And he continued on even after we shut TWD down. He turned 18. He joined the military. He still calls me, and this was somebody that was just a member of our squad, and then, about time he turned 17, 18 years old, he joined the military, and I still talk to that kid. Then at the same time, you've got kids that are just completely disrespectful that, you just got to walk away from those most of the time. But that Marine was his name, and he was a solid player, a solid kid, and I was just impressed with his age and his level of maturity that he showed, and his level of dedication. He would often hop into our Discord, ask people for help with his homework. He even had his mom send in his report cards because we wouldn't let him play in a match if he was failing school, because they was, worried about his school and things like that. So I think if handled right, the age gap between us veteran players and the younger can add a positive impact too,
For sure. I mean, I think there's a lot of, like you say, you have to pick and choose who you're gonna take under your wing. But I certainly think that there's a lot of players out there who they just want someone to show them the ropes, or they just want to say, look, I see a lot of videos actually, like Rust is one where you have people raiding communities, and there are these toxic kids who come out, and then this one kid was constantly attacked by these guys. They had no reason, he had nothing, but they were just, hanging on him. And he finally found this other community and said, look, I'm really sorry, I need some help. I keep getting bullied by these kids. They literally, all of them, there was like 30 of them, just turned up on the doorstep at the base of these two kids and wailed into them, just absolutely blasted the crap out of their base, out of them, nicked all their stuff. They brought this kid into the fold. They taught him what to do. And he's now obviously with them doing whatever. But it's things like that where sometimes you see people are always going to be pricks if they're pricks. Okay, they're always going to be an arse. And very little, particularly on the internet, is going to change that. If they think that is how they are going to get respect, that is how they will behave. And that's down to, grassroots stuff at home. That's not down to us as a community. The fun part comes when you can change someone who is like that and just say, look, excise them from whatever is influencing that behavior and just say, look, there is another way. You can be a decent human being. You can let us show you the ropes. Let us teach you what to do, bring you in. And if you continue to be a dick, then you're out. But if you learn from us and you actually turn out all right, we'll keep you on. We'll make you part of the team. And I think that there is a line, and this is one of my big things, is because I say this is one of my pin tweet about how gamers get a bad rap. Every time something bad happens, like there's a school shooting or something like that, right? They always look at oh, he played video games. Oh, it's the video games. It's the video games, isn't it? Like if video games influenced me as a child, I would be batting a ball off a wall and just moving horizontally or vertically up and down the screen. It's complete rubbish. And the idea, yes, you can be desensitized, but if it's already in your head to be like that, you will be like that. The video game has very little to do with it. And the WHO recently, before the pandemic, they were saying video games bad. After the pandemic, they went, oh, actually, they're not. They're actually quite useful. They help people deal with issues mentally. And I say this to my wife a lot. She says, oh, you're playing games quite a lot. And I said, yeah, because if I don't, I'm going to go mental. I'm going to go mental. I have nothing to take out my competitive streak on anymore, apart from, well, I can't play squash because it's not allowed because of COVID. I can't play racquetball similarly. I can't play cricket anymore. I can't do anything else. And I can't play most of the stuff. Like I'm a competitive guy. That is my major fault, is I am uber competitive. So I always want to be the best at whatever I'm doing. I'm not, but I want to be. And I think the thing is that sometimes not having the ability to prove that I can be better than someone else in whatever capacity, and that sounds stupid because it's a game and all the rest of it, but being able to beat someone in the air or get the drop on someone or outthink someone, which is actually where I take my greatest pleasure, is for me is key. I don't think I could deal without gaming because it is such a release from that sort of not having that anymore. Like an old, racehorse that's gone, a bit of a stud going out to stud. I like an old racehorse that very clearly, in my case, been shoved in the corner of a field in a farm somewhere, due for the shotgun to the temple soon, no doubt. But, you can still run. The horse can still run, but he just can't do it as much as he wants to. So you've got to give him something else to do. Standing in a field ain't it. So the same thing. I don't want to be stuck in the corner of a field in a farm. I want to be running to the best of my capacity, and gaming allows me to do that.
It's like old Toby Keith said, I may not be as good as I once was, but I'm good once as I ever was, type of deal, and yeah, I agree with that. And that's kind of why I've jumped into, just like you, I'm a huge chess fan, and I think winning a mental battle, I enjoy a lot more than winning a gun battle 90% of the time. And RP has a lot to do with that. RP, when you RP in a game like GTA or Red Dead or something like that, a lot of it is a long game. It's scenarios that are being played out that you have to navigate carefully and make decisions and moves, and that is, it's a mental game. It's a mental game, and I thoroughly enjoy that. Let's see here. Back, we do have a question here. Does your wife play games?
No, she does not. It's a sadness for me. She occasionally she used to play Crazy Golf on her mobile phone. That was it. And she's just never been in that world. She comes from a completely different background to me, and things like computers and things like that were just not in her life, early doors. So for me, I try to get her interested in things, but she just doesn't see it. She just doesn't get it, which is fine because I don't get a lot of the stuff I clearly do not get fashion. I don't get, it's for me, it's like I put on some clothes. Do they fit? Probably. Do they match? Possibly. Will anyone look at me and go, he knows what he's doing? Absolutely not. Not at all. Right? So she knows all the designers. She knows all this. She does that. But she does. Sorry, I've just seen a question pop up, and I will answer it. She absolutely 100% do what I do. Supports what I do because she knows it's important to me. In the same way that you would support someone's passion, whatever it is. If you've got a partner, particularly a life partner, I don't know how long you guys have been together, but I've been with my wife now since it's 25 years I've been together with my wife. Hello.
Yeah, it's my youngest.
Goodbye.
No. Not on my end.
Mom lost the internet, then I lost the internet like 2 minutes later. So you might.
All right. I'll keep an eye on it. Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
No. I was just checking. You're right. It's like anything. When you've been, one of the things I learned in a relationship is, in fact, it came from the guy. I think it was from the vicar who was going to do our service. He said, "Remember, you are two people. Remember that you are two people. You have different interests. You have different. You cannot expect to align one person's interests with another. You have a lot of stuff in common and you love each other dearly. But the moment that you say, I'm going out and you are expected to come out, or I am interested in this and I expect you to be interested in this. No, I will be happy for you if you're happy, but I'm not going to force myself to enjoy something that I'm not ever going to enjoy, because that way misery lies and then you just become resentful. So I think for me, it's just support them 100%. And she does. She absolutely 100% supports what I'm doing.
I'm lucky enough to have a wife that supports what I do and my hobbies, and I support her just the same. You know, it's a two-way street. Yeah, I'm not into a lot of things that she's into as far as some of the craft she does, but as far as games, my wife does play one game all the time, and that's Uno on her phone, and she's like number one in her bracket. She is about that life. Yeah. Yep. So I can relate to that as well. We had another question here. Do you have any plans on getting back into content creating? If you guys haven't seen Danger's Battlefield 3 ballet video montage, that is, I watched it just a little bit before the show, and if you've ever played Battlefield 3, it in a minute and 30-second basically is an in-depth tutorial of how to play every single class in a minute and 30 seconds. It is absolutely amazing. So are you going to be doing some more stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to say that I am. I think YouTube is going to be more sort of funny idea videos like that Colonel ordering the V1, more of that sort of stuff. And I think for me, that's where I'm going to focus my YouTube stuff on. I'm going to probably create the Colonel character, flesh him out, and then do more of that sort of stuff. But I am coming back into streaming. I am going to be looking probably at Facebook rather than Twitch, just because I find it's a little bit more ahead of the curve. And do you know what? I'm just going to have fun. It would be great if it pays out, a chunk of cash or whatever that I can stick in a holiday fund. But the reality is that for me, it's mainly just about having fun and talking to people I know. And it's, like the Game Changer program, the reason that the Game Changers are Game Changers is because they get on with other people. They're not egotistical numpties. And so, and the ones that are get weeded out pretty damn quickly. And it's like going into the best lobby of players because you're all there having fun. And if someone does well, you call them a bugger for doing well, but you congratulate them, you do well done, whatever,
Yeah. Yep.
And that's what I want. I just want a community that want to be there because they find me, if not entertaining, at least someone that they can talk to, or they can talk to other people, and they can just stick me on mute, for God's sakes. I don't care, but that's what I want to do. So I think streaming into Facebook and then YouTube will be kind of some Sea of Thieves stuff and some montage-based stuff, and then the Colonel.
Have you checked out Valheim or Valheim?
I have seen stuff about it. It looks like a kind of Ark-ish thing. Is that right?
Yeah. If you, it's in a little like Rust, kind of to an extent. But I mean, if you like sleeping at night and having free time, I would suggest not getting it. That will go away pretty quick. I picked that up and I got pretty hooked on it for a good minute. It's a very good game. So I had another question for you here. Oh yes, so this is a personal question. Just out of curiosity, are you going to be giving away or getting any more of your SgtDangerCow plushies?
Well, I have got some SgtDangerCow plushies because I bought some because I thought it would be quite a nice thing to have as my kind of thing. And it's worked out. So people seem to like them.
They're awesome.
No.
They're awesome.
Do you want to do a giveaway on this for one?
Oh, that'd be up to Mizzy. That would most certainly be up to Mizzy. And you
We can
guys
do
can
that.
see that Danger Cow plush he's got on a shelf behind him back there. Right there. Yep, that's the one. They are awesome. They are most certainly awesome.
Do you have one?
Do I have one?
Yeah.
No, I do not. Nope. At Sweden, they were gone. They were gone before I got one.
Man, Sweden.
Yeah.
So, right. So that was so funny. I swear to God, right? I came over with 2 suitcases to Sweden.
Yeah, you had those big bags full of them.
Yeah. I had 2 suitcases. Literally, I had 4 days worth of clothes, and the rest was all, and 2 suitcases full of those plushies. It was ridiculous. And they went flying. So I mean, a lot of people have made pre-orders to get one, but yeah, it was a good time. But yeah, I mean, we can do a giveaway on that. And I'm just wondering, I might have something else. The things about plushies is they can go anywhere in the world, so that's fine. That's not an issue. So if you're in the States, whatever, I can send them over. A lot of people in the States actually have them.
So we have a mutual friend that I wasn't aware of, and we met completely not in the circle that you run in or I run in. Tiger Lily. She has a question here in chat.
I have no idea who that is. No, sorry.
Yeah.
That question. Move on.
Oh, are you sure? You know what that would have you ever thought about RP Danger Cow? I mean, based on your V1 video right there and your ability to improvise and your ability to take your accent to the very like I saw in here, posh, I mean, I could see a lot of things that you could do and would find enjoyment from, but I have a feeling she may have hit you up about this before, huh?
I think we're talking GTA, right?
Well, yeah, any RP. Like I've RP'd in Red Dead Redemption as well, which I don't know if that's.
I've got that. Yeah, do you know I went through all the bloody hoops to get that game because Jersey for some reason is not seen in some of the sort of studios. This place can buy it, and so they don't let you buy it. So I had to get a VPN just to buy the damn game. I think in terms of doing it, I don't mind. I think it would be quite fun. My danger with it is, and I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way, especially Tiggy, who I love dearly, but there is a danger, I think, when you're role playing with someone else, that you start to spend more time with them than with the people that you should be spending time with. And that would be my only concern. And not for instance, not for a moment thinking anything untoward would happen, but you just that thing of, I would worry about that. But it would be hella fun. It would be an absolute blast even if we just set 2 hours aside to just go out as a crew and have fun. It would be hilarious. I worry about Tiki gets quite involved in it. Like she was talking about when she was a police officer and she had to learn all the that's a 510 or something like that. That's
the 10 codes. Yeah.
Oh no, I haven't got time for that. I've got children. I've got a business. So I haven't got any of that kind of time. But it would be fun. It would be fun just to be the bumbling posh kid in the background. Hello.
I think you'd kill it. I think you'd kill it and there's a lot of people that do that. So you have a couple of different types of RP. You have people that will go in and RP a character for a very long time, and then you have people that go in and they'll bring multiple different characters in and just RP them for a very short amount of time, and then that character is gone or whatnot. And yeah, I think you would find some enjoyment out of it if you jumped in. It's a blast. I have a lot of fun with it.
I do miss GTA. I miss the wacky races in GTA. I used to do that with the BSM guys, and that kind of fell by the wayside as well. But I love doing those. They're just hilarious. Like when you're riding a bike and then suddenly you're driving a car and then you're going up a beach, and I just loved all that stuff.
All right, let's see here. So here's a good question, and I often find myself sitting back and thinking about what I have learned from my children. What would you say you've learned from your children in regards to gaming? I know for me, a lot of it is lingo. Like some lingo will pop up. I'm like, what does that even mean? What's Keck W? And then one of the kids come in real quick with it. Do you have any instances of that?
I think the best thing about just like my 5-year-old is just a natural born comedian, and so he says stuff sometimes, and he just comes out with things like he goes, "Oh baby, yeah." I'm like, where do you get that from? I've never said that ever in my life, and he's, "I've got you now, Dad. I'm coming up on the inside. Yeah, eat my dust." I'm like, "You're 5. You shouldn't know these words." And I mean, it's just generally for me, it's just remembering that being a kid and enjoying something purely for itself is one of the most important parts of gaming. Is for me, it's like being a game changer when you come out, when you do all the feedback, that's fine. But I remember the first time it was in EA Play London when they still did London. And I got my hands on Battlefield 1 for the first time. And I was just sat there absolutely grinning. I had the biggest smile on my face because it was just tremendous fun. And it was like blasting around. The visuals were spectacular. Everything you wanted to do was there. And there's a mild profanity coming up, so you'll have to forgive me. It won't be bad, but there is a mild profanity. Mind your profanity. So basically, I tweeted out, "I'm sorry, it's hard to tweet with a massive throbbing erection." That was my reaction to Battlefield 1, because for me it was just this. It just infused itself into me. I was like, "This is what I wanted. It's spectacular. It's fun. Things are blowing up. Thank God, they got it right." Apart from the gunplay, but it was just fun, and that's what playing with my kids, playing Mario Kart. When they beat me, I'm gutted beyond belief. But it's just listening to the delight they have when they beat me, or the delight they have when they hit me with a shell. Anything, and it's the delight of it. It's not gaming to be a famous Twitch streamer. It's not gaming to make YouTube content. It's gaming for gaming, just to have fun. And that is for me, the one thing I would take away. And it sounds trite and very saccharine, but it is one of the things I definitely take away from gaming with my children, is just remember it is a game and it's there for fun, not obsession.